What if I told you that forcing your kid to finish their plate is actually starving their brain? For generations, the clean your plate rule has been passed down as a symbol of respect and gratitude. But modern neuroscience and gastroenterology are revealing a dark biological paradox. When we force children to eat against their will, the resulting stress triggers a cascade of hormones that literally shuts down their ability to absorb nutrients, leaving their developing brain starved of the very fuel they need to grow. When a parent adopts the role of a kitchen dictator, insisting on one more bite or refusing to let a child leave the table until their plate is empty, the dining room ceases to be a place of nourishment. Instead, it transforms into a psychological battlefield. This authoritarian pressure shifts the child's brain from a state of safety and digestion to a state of survival, triggering an acute survival response before the food even enters their stomach. Under coercion, the child's amygdala signals the hypothalamus, initiating a rapid chemical chain reaction. The adrenal glands flood the system with cortisol, the primary stress hormone. Cortisol is designed for fight or flight emergencies, like running away from a predator, not for digesting a meal. The presence of high cortisol levels instantly reprioritizes the body's energy expenditure, preparing the limbs for action while shutting down non-essential biological processes. This stress response directly targets the vagus nerve, the superhighway of communication between the brain and the gut. Under normal, peaceful conditions, the vagus nerve promotes rest and digest activities, stimulating the release of digestive enzymes and coordinating smooth muscle contractions. But when cortisol spikes, the vagus nerve signals are disrupted, effectively cutting off the critical communication link between the gut and the brain. With the fight or flight response activated, the sympathetic nervous system takes complete control. It immediately reroutes blood flow. Blood is shunted away from the stomach, intestines, and digestive tract and directed instead toward the skeletal muscles. This vascular shift means the digestive system is suddenly starved of oxygen and essential blood supply, making efficient digestion physically and biologically impossible. At a microscopic level, the damage is even more profound. High levels of cortisol disrupt the integrity of the intestinal villi, the tiny finger-like projections responsible for absorbing nutrients from food. When stressed, these delicate structures constrict, and the tight junctions holding the gut barrier together begin to weaken. Instead of a highly efficient absorption machine, the gut lining becomes tense, compromised, and highly inefficient. Because the gut lining is compromised and blood flow is severely restricted, the actual absorption of vital micronutrients is blocked. Essential brain builders like zinc, iron, magnesium, and omega-3 fatty acids pass straight through the digestive tract without being absorbed. Even if the plate is piled high with organic, nutrient-dense vegetables, the child's body simply cannot uptake these nutrients under the biological blockade of stress. The ultimate victim of this chemical blockade is the developing brain. A child's brain consumes up to 50% of their daily caloric intake and demands a steady supply of micronutrients to build myelin sheaths, establish new synaptic connections, and regulate mood. When nutrient absorption is biologically shut down, the brain is deprived of its critical building blocks, creating a state of cellular starvation, despite a physically full stomach. Forcing children to eat also completely breaks their internal biofeedback loops. Our bodies are wired with highly sensitive hunger and satiety signals governed by hormones like leptin and ghrelin. When we override these signals by demanding a clean plate, we teach the brain to ignore its own biology. Over time, the child's brain loses the ability to recognize when it is full or when it is truly hungry, laying the foundation for lifetime metabolic confusion. Psychologically, this routine acts as a powerful conditioning mechanism. The brain is an association engine. It begins to anchor the act of eating and the sight of food to feelings of fear, anxiety, and resentment. This conditioned aversion can manifest as chronic picky eating, mealtime phobias, or a subconscious drive to seek comfort in ultra-processed foods later in life, where control isn't heavily enforced. The long-term consequences of disrupting these metabolic feedback loops are staggering. Research shows that children forced to clean their plates are far more likely to experience insulin resistance and metabolic dysfunction in adolescence and adulthood. Because their natural satiety mechanisms have been systematically deactivated, they are biologically prone to overeating and emotional eating, as their brains can no longer self-regulate. Even more concerning is the epigenetic impact. Chronic stress during crucial developmental windows can actually alter the expression of genes involved in metabolism and stress response. These epigenetic changes can program a child's body to store excess fat and maintain high baseline cortisol levels, a cellular memory of mealtime battles that they may carry with them for the rest of their lives. To break this cycle, parents must shift their perspective from control to cooperation. The science of pediatric nutrition strongly advocates for the division of responsibility. Parents are responsible for what, when, and where food is served, but the child must be entirely responsible for how much they eat or even whether they eat at all. This simple boundary respects the child's innate biological signals. When responsive feeding is practiced, magic happens biologically. In a peaceful, pressure-free dining environment, the child's body remains in a parasympathetic, relaxed state. The vagus nerve functions perfectly, digestive enzymes flow abundantly, and the intestinal villi expand to maximize nutrient absorption. The brain receives its required nutrients immediately, fostering healthy cognitive development and emotional stability. True nourishment is never forced. By stepping down as the kitchen dictator, we allow our children's brilliant, self-regulating biological systems to do what they were designed to do. When we prioritize a peaceful mealtime over an empty plate, we aren't just raising healthy eaters. We are protecting, feeding, and nurturing their developing brains for a lifetime of health and happiness.